we're going to now hear from Ji Chenzi, who is a PhD student at Lancaster University in Lancaster Institute for LICA, it's known, Lancaster Institute for Contemporary Art. And I had a strange blank in my mind there for a second. Thank you. So Lancaster Institute for Contemporary Art. And Ji is a very accomplished artist. And her work brings together early Chinese cosmological ideas and aesthetics, and pervades them or transforms them into a visual art form that speaks to us today. So over to you, Ji.
Hi everyone, I'm Z and I come from Lancaster University. I'm basically a PhD researcher. Thank you so much for inviting me to such great event. And my topic today is visual language in early Chinese cosmology. And basically, I'm an artist and I didn't have any background of like language background, but I think when we comes to talk about language, expand it, like what's the purpose and function at the very first place of language is to communicate, to deliver the message and to deliver the knowledge, to let people can communicate with each other to get different knowledge from each part. So in this case, I think maybe image, visual logic, visual language can be a really special kind of language that I can talk about today. So first of all, a little personal background that I'm an ink painting artist that studied for traditional landscape painting for like over 15 years, this kind of stuff. And I'm doing my bachelor and master degree both in traditional landscape painting, especially in ink. As you know, why as I am a landscape painter, why am I curious about cosmology? This question back to the very first place when I was researching about those landscape early theory that talk about why the ancient ancestor painter, they doing this kind of landscape painting. What's the purpose of painting landscape? And I found that the really early painting theory of landscape, which we called 山水, is that the purpose of landscape painting is to intimate the essence of Tao, which is the cosmology. 山水以形媚道, which is a really famous theoretical painter called Zongbing had said that, and he's in the 6th dynasty, which is 1,000 years ago. So when we talk about cosmos and the landscape painting, as a painter, as a traditional painter, we usually think about we painting 山水. It's not just about the mountain and river. It's just about the scenery. It's just not about the scenery, but it's about to paint 山水 to deliver the message of cosmos concept. So while I keep searching, because you know the history of landscape painting is not that quite early in the whole Chinese history. The landscape painting only begins after the 6th dynasty, which I have mentioned, the Zongbing, the theoretical artist that had been create that famous words about 山水 is to deliver the concept of cosmos. So before landscape painting, is there any concept about cosmos? Is there any concept of art deliver the cosmos concept? And that's my very first question during my PhD research. So I starting look back to the history, look back before the 6th dynasty, and I found some clues. So before that, here is a small question about you guys. As you can see, these both pictures here. Is it similar? Something like similar in both pictures, left and right. So which relic is earlier? as you think? The left one or the right one? Just choose. As the image you can see. You are different. So the correct answer is this is the early one. So how long? The left one is the early one. So how long is the difference in age between these two relics? 1,000 years. How many thousand years? Okay, 3,000 years. The correct answer of this is 6,000 years. So as you can see, these two images, I didn't tell you what the function is at. What's exactly this image is used for, but you can see the similarity just through the image. And later, as I telling you, these two kind of relics has between 6,000 years. So that maybe delivers some message that those kind of image have some visual logic inside it and pass out over 1,000 years. How strong this visual logic is it? So the question move forward is that what was the relics once used for? And the answer is ritual places for sacrifice for the heaven and earth. For the round one, which we call nowadays called 天坛, is the right picture, which is found in the Qing dynasty. It's more closer to nowadays, and that one, which found in Shanxi province, is the late Neolithic ages, which is 5,000 years ago, which also the very first we can find the earliest sacrifice ritual places of heaven and earth. As you can see, I can tell you, the squared one is sacrificed to the earth, and the circle one is sacrificed to the heaven. So that's different to this kind of shapes, circle and heaven, square and earth. Why it can deliver this kind of message over 6,000 years? That's the question I keep looking. And finally, I found that it's just not a simple phenomenon. It has the actual theory. We found that the really earliest, the first ancient Chinese cosmology have been founded in the Six Dynasties test. But the time that this kind of theory formated, we can see that because the late Neolithic ages, we have found this circle and square. So the theory definitely can have the same time, can share the same time period. So this, the very first ancient Chinese cosmology, which we called 盖天说, 盖天 theory, what's the main subject, what's the main theme about this is to telling us the shape of the cosmos. 天如章盖, 地如棋局, an umbrella cover on a board game is what ancestors think about the universe. It's kind of like a round heaven and squared earth, 天圆地方, as all the Chinese. Nowadays, as we didn't have really like strong traditional like education about the Asian test, like most every Chinese know this kind of concept, even though we know it's not that really quite science way. But everyone knows this kind of tradition is 天圆地方. So cosmos in Asian ancestors, think about it. It's heaven, it's like a round shape. It's like a round roof covered on a squared earth, which the square lead to the space concept and the circle leads to the time concept. As we can see the image at the left side, it's a visual model restoring the legendary world in earliest Chinese legend, which we called Shanhai Jing. It's a very first and really famous legend in Chinese history to telling the story about how the world came into being, all those famous how to say that, all those famous creatures, all those mysterious history about before the human come into being, what was the world like. And And as the story said, it can share the same concept of the shape of the cosmos. It's like a round roof covered a square earth, which means this kind of concept is just not a simple scholar said. It's a common knowledge in the really early ages. So next step, I was thinking, because I can see those really clear evidence about heaven, round shape, earth squared shape. Is there any similarity image data that I can found? So I keep looking into all the art history leaks before the Shanshui painting created, before the Sixth Dynasty. Amazingly, I found tons of it. But I'm curious about that. No category as cosmos art in Chinese art history, but I can found the cosmos image is like everywhere. We can found in the frescoes, the sculptures, the architecture's form, or a lot of different kind of artifact. So here is some like actual image evidence I can show you. So like the left above, the really early, it's a jade board. Had some, painting or cleave on. It's in a late Neolithic age, 5,000 BC, 6,000 years ago. We didn't know what it is, because we don't know the meaning, but we can see the shape as a square and a circle. And later in Warring State, there is a lacquer box decoration, like it indicates some stars and some image as a dragon and tiger, which means the really early astronomy image that I can talk to you later, indicate how the sky, how the heaven is shaping. It's like a round circle with all those alphabet, with all those words claim the 28 stars name. And the left and the right is the star of the dragon on the south and the star of dragon on the north, star of tiger on the north. So that's the earliest astronomy theory. And the third one, decoration of the mirror in the Han period, also circle, squared, including indicate the cosmos. And the famous sundial in Han period calculate the time. The time calculator is also shaped as square and earth. And later, a ritual sculpture, a sacrifice structure in Han period, which the royalty in every season, 12 months of 12 room in this kind of structure, the king need to stay in each room in each year to do the in each month to do the sacrifice. It indicate that the king follow the times, the rotating of a year to sacrifice to the heaven and earth. And the latest one, the fresco on top of the temple, which in Qing period, as you can see, really clear, a square indicate the earth, and a circle inside, there's a star map, indicate the heaven. And I can introduce you a tons of this kind of image as I researched the image database, which means it indicates somehow the same visual logic during the whole Chinese history. Is indicate that the ancestor think the same about cosmology visual logic, which is a square and earth and a circle. So after image, interesting, let's talk about a bit of science. In ancient Chinese, we don't have this actual words called science, but ancient Chinese did have science, as we call it is fang shu. So what is fang shu? That lead me to find the earliest categories, the bibliography of ancient Chinese text, which is we can found in the Han Dynasty. The earliest bibliography in is in Han Dynasty, which we called Han Shu Yi Wen Zhi. It has tell us that ancient ancestor separate all the knowledge in China into six categories. One is Liu Yi, which means six art, include painting, calligraphy, even though riding the horses or this kind of activity of literacy in that days. And classic, absolutely Taoism, Confucianism, and all this kind of really famous theory about knowledge. And the third one, 诗赋, is poem. Sorry about it, it's kind of distracted. And the fourth one is 兵书, is war tactics, about how to start war, how to do these military things. And the fourth one is 术数, and the fifth one is 术数, and the sixth one is 方剂. These two areas combined together, we call 方术, which is the science of China. 术数 indicate the science about the outside world, and 方剂 indicate the science about human. So in ancient Chinese, they think the science include basic separate into two parts. One is about human being, people, ourselves, basically focus on the health, focus on how to practice your mind. And the second part, what I am about to introduce is 术数, which is the knowledge, include the knowledge of cosmology. So what 术数 is about, we can see in this diagram that it includes astronomy, calendar to test the time, and the relation of 5 elements, as we had always talked about the 5 elements, 阴阳五行 and 风水, and this kind of really mysterious method about doing things, divination things, and also other 3 this kind of things, 世规, 杂占, and 刑法 is most likely about the divination. So we can see divination is a method that ancient ancestors think it's actual science, actual technology about how to ruin the world, how to live within this technology to have a better life. So in 术数, in divination skills, I found a really, really fascinating tools, which called 士, that I think can be a representative of ancient Chinese cosmology model. Why is it so special? As we can see, the shape is a squared underneath and a circle above. And the interesting thing is, the plate, as a squared plate above, it can turn around in 330 degrees, 360 degrees, and the square underneath is steady. And this kind of tools, what's the function of it? It's used to divination nearly all the aspects of the world. The knowledge inside this 是 combining astronomy, math, myth, and decorations, and time and space. All these kind of elements that ancient ancestors think is the high level of the knowledge, technique of ancient Chinese knowledge. Let them all together combine into these typical tools that we call 士. And not just Chinese research, and also a lot of really famous high researchers in Western world, such as Joseph Needham, Donald Judd Harper, and Christopher Cullen. They all study about this 士 tool, and it had different names about it, like diviner's board, cosmic board, or cosmic model. This kind of translate somehow can also deliver a message that this tool in a high level connected to the concept of cosmos. So this is basically all the theoretical research about my PhD research into the ink painting that I think this kind of visual model, why is it so important is that as we can see all those historical relics, why this kind of circle and square can last for like 1,000 years ago, like last for 1,000 years, and each period of the Chinese, they think they always believe in this kind of cosmic model, is sometimes indicate the impact of the visual logic inside it. So this research, theory research mainly showing the impact of visual logic to deliver the complicated concept in a directed way, and using visual logic may help to fill in some gap of researching some early historical artifact that may not have the direct text record. Because usually when we think about history, like really ancient history study, we usually tend to rely on those really early texts, those writing record or text record to indicate some, to get some conclusion about research. But as my point of view, I think we need to pay more attention about some image data, or as I say, a visual logic inside those artifacts, especially those really early ages artifact that may not have the directly text file that it can be conclude into together. And different style of languages, especially as I said, because we mainly talk about speaking language or writing language in daily life. But I think as a visual language, sometimes it can deliver more message really directly. Because I was thinking about, in ancient China, not all the people can have the chance to read, to learn calligraphy, to learn how to write, but they can use the Oriental language, as we said, speaking language, and also they can use the visual language, as we say. Why the Chinese temple, all those religious places, they usually use all those really fascinating mural painting to tell the audience, to tell the common people that this kind of regions is really fascinating, because the impact of image and the impact of visual logic is really strong, that can immediately tell the audience, is it good or bad? Do you like it or not? Or is it give you some metaphor or some tips about what I'm telling you directly? So my conclusion of my theory research is that the oldest question is also the newest question. I'm wondering, like, each period of human, we are always wondering what the cosmos look like. In each period, we have the different conclusion. But while the science development, while we explore the world step by step, each period we found really different conclusion. But is it that make things that the oldest theory is wrong? I don't think so, because each period, when you find some new knowledge, is somehow in different aspect had showing the method of seeing a world, seeing this world, a method, a different way of seeing the same thing. So that's why I think the ancient visual logic of cosmos, it's not that kind of pass out old knowledge as we may think, because this kind of knowledge, while you seeing it, using it, if you sense this kind of powerful visual logic inside it, how about you use this kind of thing into different area, like for example, as me, into ink painting. Yeah. So as my ink practice, I can show some of the example of my own experience about how I indicate, how I use this kind of idea of visual logic into my ink art. Is that because, the very first question I have put up. As a traditional landscape painter, we usually just paint mountain and rivers because the traditional landscape paint have really strict rules that you need to follow. But when it comes to contemporary art, when it comes to using ink as just a material, but to create more like a new style of painting, how can I do it? I think usually people may tend to think that you need to think something really new style using like digital art or visual really shining new technique to do some art that claims new. But I think sometimes it's just not about the form, it's just about the thought. If your thought about one thing is pretty new or in a really different ways, no matter this kind of idea comes to the old age or comes nowadays, it all leads to a different path of art. It all leads to different thinking, different views about creating anything. For example, art. Oh, sorry, what I'm doing. Yeah, and this part is my concept about time as a circle, as you can see, but I don't want to just claim it as a general, just a shape. As you can see some directions, metaphor, or as you can see some elements inside it, as we can see some Taoism elements as a qi, as we had talked about, those really mysterious, unclear things inside it, but it all came together as a circle, as Chinese philosophy, because sometimes we think, why those Chinese theory, they just prefer to put all the things together as into a just one system to claim that it's a reasonable thought, a reasonable system. And I think this is kind of special about Chinese wisdom. And the second part is claimed as the square of Earth and the square of space. And in that square space, you can see some elements flowing in together. And sometimes, as you can see, each part of it has a circle, gold in the middle. As we can see, this is kind of Chinese philosophy about the central, 中庸, as we said. Why central is so important in Chinese theory, in Chinese philosophy. This is what I want to claim it and make it so important to tell the audience using the visual logic, using the arts, but not using the test to let you know, to let you you need to read those really classic Confucius word or classic books to know this kind of concept. How about we using a really complete new visual logic to tell the audience right away, as you can see immediately, and maybe you can get something. And after you've seen this, while I generally telling you this kind of background of the painting might, in some aspect, you may found really interesting about Asian Chinese philosophy, Asian Chinese wisdom, Asian Chinese theory. And last but not least, I will have an art project in the Story Gallery in November, the end of October to the early November, and held with the Light of Lancaster, which I will do a really huge artwork to indicate, to clarify this kind of Chinese cosmological visual art again, and hope I can see some of you at that event. Thank you so much.
Thanks very much.